Hello, and welcome to LeftOverTime, the show about reheated food and NBA takes. As always, we are going to take a piece of food that we might otherwise throw away and endeavor to recover it in some new cooking format. As we do that, we are going to stretch our imaginations to find an NBA analogy to match our cooking method. On today's episode, mashed potatoes, the recipe, mashed potato gnocchi, and on the NBA side of things, 3 NBA body transformations. We all go through body transformations. Some of us stop growing up and start growing out. Some of us attempt to add mass. I can never really seem to do that. Some of us lose hair. I was able to do that. Some of us tattoo ourselves, and we are able to kind of make our look and outward appearance what we want. It's almost human nature to transform. In today's episode, we're going to explore transformation in 3 different ways. Well, 4 with the mashed potato gnocchi, but let's start with the NBA. First up, the body transformation of Giannis Antetokounmpo. When drafted in 2013 out of Greece, Giannis was a relative unknown string bean of a prospect. He had the barest outline of skills, and in many circles, the pick was kind of a head-scratcher. At 19, Giannis was focused on making the most of his opportunity and growing in the league. It just so happened his body had most of that first. In his first 8 months as an NBA player, Giannis grew over an inch, from 6 foot 9 inches to 6 foot 10 and a quarter inches, and over the course of time is now listed at 7 feet tall. As he grew, though, he endeavored to keep up with his body and hit the weight room and the practice facility. Stronger control with the basketball, strong drive to get to the hoop, and relentless defensive effort brought 2 MVP selections, an NBA championship in 2021, and a nod for the top 75 NBA players of all time, he being the youngest added to that list. Next in the transformation of Kawhi Leonard's shot. A bullish defender in college at San Diego State, Kawhi was quiet in most things except when driving to the hoop. He looked more the part of a capable NBA role player, better to catch the ball on a cut than to terrify an opponent in isolation play or rain fire from above from the three-point line. When he was selected 15th overall by the San Antonio Spurs, he was immediately sent to the doctor. The shot doctor, that is, Chip England. Under the tutelage of Chip, even a few short lessons in a lockout summer began the transformation of Kawhi's shot. From college to the pros, Kawhi's jump shooting proficiency jumped nearly 10% across the board. It all started with tightening up Kawhi's shooting form, less focus on strength, of which Kawhi had plenty, and more focus on repetitive, fluid motion, his body a straight line versus his collegiate habit of kind of trebucheting the ball at the hoop. With his defensive prowess and established shot, Kawhi became one of the best players in the league. A 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, a 2-time Finals MVP for the Toronto Raptors, and before that, the San Antonio Spurs, and a shoo-in for eventual Hall of Fame selection. And finally, the transformation of Dennis Rodman. Some transformations come in other forms, rather than kind of solidifying into a new established form. Some paths would have us create a canvas that can shift and adapt as needed. For Dennis the Worm Rodman, stepping into the NBA, he was going to be a project. Outrageously talented and had a willingness to sacrifice his body, which kind of exemplified either fearlessness or naivety. It made him a perfect fit for the back-to-back champion bad boy Detroit Pistons of the late 80s and early 90s. As his time with the Pistons ended, coinciding with the departure of his mentor and coach Chuck Daly, mental health and individuality became a focus for Rodman. He started to explore his sexuality and appearance while showing his emotion more outwardly. In the league of dress codes and pre-established views of what a star should look like, Rodman regularly subverted those expectations, all the while maintaining his stellar savant-level play, specifically on defense and rebounding. When he joined the Bulls in 1996 alongside Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, pillars of tried and true basketball stardom, and expectations, Rodman showed out even further. There's an old adage in sports, winning cures most anything. And with Rodman's defense and rebounding, the Bulls established themselves as one of the greatest teams of all time. Soon Rodman went from freakish to intriguing curiosity. He broke barriers, his willingness to explore fashion and look, something that was once kind of looked down upon in the league, became commonplace, as we can see in this next montage.
Hey, toi qui danse là-bas, je t'ai aperçu du coin de l'œil. Tu me connais pas, mais c'est pas grave. Mes intentions sont seulement pures. Je veux t'aimer.
Thank you again for watching this video. We're about to get to the recipe method. Before you head to that, if you will just give me like 5-10 seconds, subscribe, like, send to like 5 or 10 friends who like basketball or cooking or both. Anything you can do to help the channel is very much appreciated. Thank you. Now, on to making mashed potato gnocchi. Pour out the mashed potatoes onto a work surface and form into a crater. Pour flour over top of the crater and crack an egg into the center. Slowly mix the egg with the flour and potato until mostly incorporated. With a bench scraper, or with only your hands, start to mix the gnocchi until homogeneous, or fully incorporated. Add more flour as needed. After it is rested, divvy out a section of the dough and roll into a long rope. Long, straight form, much like Kawhi's shooting form, pressing gently from the middle out. Then with a knife or bench scraper, cut the rope into gnocchi-sized pieces, about an inch. If you care about look, and why not? You can set each piece on a separate cutting board dusted with flour and using a fork, gently roll the gnocchi to give it those lovely ridges, perfect for prepping the palate for the pesto that will coat the pasta. One little phrase there, but think of it like Rodman. Gotta prep the body to transform in any kind of color or shape that you'd like. It doesn't need to be pesto, it could be a red sauce, it could be any number of sauces. It doesn't even need to be an Italian sauce. In a pot of salted, boiling water, dump the pasta a few at a time so they do not congeal into each other. The boiling water will quickly seal the pasta, but for those first few seconds, they can be kind of clingy. While they cook, preheat a saucepan. Once the pasta starts to float and dance in the pot and sort of puff out from their original form, sort of like Giannis growing and solidifying into form, transfer the gnocchi to the Sautee pan with some olive oil and toss to coat. Dollop some fresh pesto over the gnocchi and toss to coat again. After roughly 1 minute, plate accordingly and dress with freshly shredded parm.
Mia, what do you